Hi folks, sorry it's been a little bit of a while since the last video on this channel, and that is because life has been getting back to what we used to call normal, and I've been doing radical things like going out and playing the viol. However, it does mean that I have joined half of the rest of the world in getting COVID, so here we are back at home again. I'm feeling sufficiently human now to be able to actually talk to you. I'm conscious I sound a bit like a frog, so apologies. But I've got a book here called Mr. Leonard's Lessons. It's a collection of pieces published by Corda Music, arranged by Ian Gammie for solo unaccompanied bass viol, lyra viol. First one in the book is All in a Garden Green. It's a great tune. So let's have a look, shall we? You want half position, first finger on the F, third finger on the C. Let's just see what happens. 1, 2. Shall we stop there? Because there's quite a lot of notes in that first few bars. So the first two chords are all right, aren't they? In the very first bar, you can't actually play what's printed. In the second minim F, you can't bow a minim on one string and 2 crotchets on another string at the same time. You're either going to get 2 crotchets on both strings, or, well, it's just not possible, is it? So I have solved that by playing the second crotchet on its own, but keep your finger down on the F so that the second minim continues to sound. And it's still there, isn't it, for this? And because it's busy, your first finger, use your second finger to play the B flat with, and consequently your fourth finger to play this C. Add in the E string. I would go back to the 4 given that it's there, and it leaves 1 and 3. Move your 1 over, 3. And I've slurred that pair of quavers. I'll do that a little bit in here just to sort of correct things out a bit. So I'm trying to choose fingering that means I'm not always hopping fingers across one string to the next. I'm trying as often as possible to use a different finger to the one that's already occupied. Should we try that nice and slowly? 1, 2. I'm also just slightly separating some of these crotchets. If you try and make them all completely smooth, I mean, it is possible. I think it's a dance, so it could do with a little bit of lift, but also it just buys you a bit of time to be rearranging your left hand. It's also tend to get left hand preoccupied when we're playing chords. If you look at the third bar with a whole string of chords in it, what your bow is doing is playing 1 chord that's on the top 2 strings, 3 chords that are on the second and third string. If you can't do that with the bow, if you get a really uneven balance of notes when you're trying to play 2 strings at once, that is not a left hand issue, that is a right hand issue. So if you're finding that your chords are slightly untidy, just take the left hand out and play in that third bar. Make sure you can get top 2 strings, second and third strings, without any rocking or individual strings coming out or kind of extra strings being caught down the bottom. And I'm really deliberately in bar 4 getting that far, because I think the tune goes, but I think that little decoration just needs including in your initial thought before the upbeat into bar 5. Let's go again from the top. Oh, back bow. 1, 2. Should we go on? F major chord at the end. Let's do the upbeat to bar 5. So this is okay, isn't it? Now, the next note, the next chord, it's full of notes and needs loads of fingers. Just start playing the bottom string, I mean the G, at the bottom of the chord before you take everything off and think, oh crikey, I've got to find 4 notes at once. You haven't got to find 4 notes at once. You've got to find the G string. Then you've got to find the D, the G and the B flat. So don't think, right, I've played the upbeat, got to arrange all these fingers, and now I can play that chord now that I've got everything together. Start at the bottom, find a note at a time. So what you actually want is you're moving your second finger, aren't you, to play the D. From that upbeat chord, you're moving your second finger, and your 1 goes across to play the B flat. So it's actually, it's a tiny amount of movement up here. I quite like hanging on to the top 2 notes there. And now look, my 4 is right where that quaver C is, so let's use it. And maybe use it again as we're there for the F. And if you use the 4 for this C, you've got 1 and 3 ready to play that next chord with at the start of bar 7. You have to move your 1 across for this. I would slur this pair of quavers, and then I would strike that G on its own rather than resounding the C underneath it. That's personal taste. And actually, if you use the 4 for this G, look what's free to go looking for the bottom of that F major chord. That would be good fingering, wouldn't it? This is the upbeat to bar 5. So we've got a 1 on the F. You're going to play the G at the bottom, move your 2 over. Consider holding the top 2 notes down. Use your 4 for the quaver C. And the same 4 for the F at the top. Hold it down while you leap an octave. The same 4 again here. Leaving the 1 and the 3 free. Move your 1 over. I would slur these. If you use a 4 there, your 3 is free to go and find the bottom of that chord. And the last note is just not important. Make sure the top 1 is held down, nice and resonant while you go looking for that bottom F. Should we do it slowly? This is the upbeat to bar 5. Maybe I'll count crotches. 1, 2, 3. Go from the top, nice and steady. Maybe when you're ready. Let's go on for now. Still in half position, that same chord as it was at the beginning. So you kind of have to move the 1 across, don't you, for this? I don't think you've got any choice. Keep your 3rd finger on the F and bring the 2 up behind it. You could slur this, so you're getting a minute at the bottom. If you're going to bow them separately, I would play the E on its own rather than resounding it with the C. Personal taste. Make your own decision in there, but I think those are your options. Let's do it. 3, 4. Once more. 3, 4. Let's go on. at that. So no choice really about this. I think you just have to move your 1 over and move it back. 3 and 4, 1 and 2. There's no fancy fingering in there. There's nothing particularly complicated. You just need to use all 4 fingers that you've got, and it sort of sits. You're just in half position. You're not in any real chordal fingering or anything. You're just 2 notes at once in half position. Should we play it from 11? 3, 4. So these are the upbeat 3 semiquavers into bar 13. Just see if you can practice. It's a really good way of realising how close the next string is and how little effort you need to put in between playing 1 string and playing 2 strings. It's the tiniest movement with the bow to be on 1 string here and then to be just a couple of degrees next door on 2 strings. 1 and 3 here. You see my 3 is not moving. Let's just do that again actually. This is the upbeat to 13. Your 3 goes down here and it will still be there for the top of that chord. And it will still be there. And now you move it for the C here. Now here, your 1 is busy playing the F, so you need to use a 2 for the B flat, and consequently a 4 for the C. Does that make sense? That's 15. I think you start with a 3, but then 2 for the B flats, 4 for the C. That's alright, isn't it? If you keep the 4 on the C, we've done this before, you've got 1 3 left for the B flat and the G, move your F over, 3 4. God, 4 fingers getting a workout, isn't it, today? I would slur these because I'd far rather this chord came on a forward bow than a back. And having found it, I think the first chord in the final bar is much more important than the rebound. You might shorten it and lighten it. Let's play from 15, shall we? Nice and steady. 3, 4. From the double bar then, shall we, for the second half? Nice and steady. 3, 4. And eventually, it's a dance, isn't it? So I think we should be aiming to think it in 2. Sort of thing. But just give yourself a chance to work your fingers out first. Always remember that in a big chord, you're allowed to start playing the bottom note before you've actually found the rest of them. And for everything else, just check that without your left hand in, you can actually play 2 strings evenly. If you're getting 2 of them sometimes and not others. Just go back to bow only. Make sure you can get a decent sound with this hand before you put this one in. Have fun.